Oh my goodness, my bad, Capricorns, right? Like, can you imagine? Yeah, damn. Just looking at some hair, some nails, rather. Nail tech. So, kind of just doing some trials, seeing how these nails fit on this mannequin. So, I had forgotten to push her back really quick. I got a little sidetracked. So, but anyway, this is your girl, Miss RHW, with another love reading for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're about to get started on your love reading for September, which is going to be taking an overview look at the at your experience and everything that's going on with your love life in Virgo season. Please keep in mind that Capricorn, this is a collective Capricorn reading, meaning this is for your sun, moon, and rising, and this also may apply to you, and you may have aspects of the reading that may not resonate. Please keep space for those individuals that may have a diverging story than yours and may be seeking guidance as well. If you are looking to get a personal reading or just have a more reading tailored more towards your situation, there is information in the description box below that you could take a look at that gets you a booking with me if you want to do that. Okay. All right. Jesus, can we just stay on the table? That would be fabs. I feel like these tarot cards are fighting with me today. I don't know what I did. All right, let's see what's going on with your love lives, Cappies. If we could get a good shuffle, like Ali. God damn. Can you just hurry up? Thank you. There we go. Ah, much better. Okay. Fair. Just because you're irritating. Capricorn, why does it always work with you? Why? Why is it gotta be work with you? Always gotta be freaking work with you, man. If it's not work, it's responsibilities of some sort. Something chore related, something that's involving nurturing, taking care of, focus. Yeah. God damn. Yo. Why we gotta have the heaviest cards? But it's always with you. It's always with you. We're doing it a little backwards, I guess, with you, Capricorn, because I was supposed to be pulling an I Ching card to see what the fuck is going on first. To get it like an oracle reading underneath that. We're using the I Ching, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been fucking crazy accurate so far. I mean, it's been really on tailoring neatly with these reads, and it's scaring me. So yeah, let's pull your original reading. So the I Ching Oracle, how that works is I have to pull 2 cards to operate this deck. So what I am going to do is I'm going to pull 1 card, read the description of the card to kind of give us an impression of what this reading could be suggesting, what the nature of the essence of this reading could be suggesting for your love life. And then we're going to pull the second oracle, which is your outcome at the end. Line up the lines, which is what you're going to understand in a minute when I do that, what the lines are, what I'm going to be adding up to see what the deeper message is, and then tie it to how this impacts you in your outcome, or what your outcome is in line towards from your initial message. Okay, that's how this oracle deck works. Okay, so here we have, wow, that is weird. I pick always from the middle of the deck. I shuffle really good and I pick from the middle. It's a bit strange to get the 64 again because Saggy already got this before fulfillment. Okay, wow. And I remember what that card means, but of course I'm going to read it for you because if Saggy's got a chance to hear the authentic, true message from the I Ching, you should be graced with its traditional wisdom as well. Of course, Cappies, I would never do you like this. That would be crazy. Who would I be? Never understanding what a Saggy is. I mean, excuse me, an Aquarius. Excuse me, what a Capricorn is. You're like, yeah, damn, what the fuck is going on there? I'm having a hard time. Okay, appreciate you holding on for me, Cappies. Before fulfillment. This sign can be compared to springtime, which leads to the fertile summer after the tempering cold winter. It is a difficult as excuse me. Let me try this again. I'm getting a little dyslexic with my words. I apologize. This sign can be compared to springtime, which leads to the fertile summer after tempering cold of winter. After the tempering cold of winter, it is a time as difficult as it is beautiful. Harmony reigns. Life flourishes and prospers only after its completion. You need to draw upon all your strength to cope with a task of this nature. It could be presumptuous to expect a sudden solution to all problems with just one roll of the die. The ground is still shaky under you. You must carefully create a foundation enabling you to bear the load. You are heading for an all-encompassing renewal of life. This departure for new shores is accompanied by anxious expectation and new hope. Okay, so that is the essence of the reading here. Okay, I'm going to just try to summarize it in the best way as I can kind of summarize this. Is that you're going through a transition and you need to ground yourself, and the best ways to feel like you're grounding yourself, it seems like, is to take control of what you can take control of. So like you're going through a period where you have to stay strong. You're showing up as someone who's being a leader in some sort of shape and fashion. Every time I see the Empress, I think of a parent. And I should also apply the same sort of principle with the Emperor. And I kind of feel like it's ironic. I'm doing this in a Capricorn reading. Capricorn, ironically, is the father, and Cancer is the mother. So in this sense, because the Emperor is the representation of the father in the tarot, it does suggest to me that there are fatherly qualities, even in women, that exist, and if females or whoever identifies as such, as a woman, there are still fatherly qualities that we still inherit or we still have innately within us, and they usually can be activated by a fatherly figure that we know or we have around us or have had gotten an influence from, I should say, because it could be from anything, from books, from TV shows. It really depends on what kind of father-like figure you feel is the best representative of what kind of individual, what kind of structure or lifestyle you're wanting to have. And it's interesting. I don't mean to jump here, just so you know. I'm going to go through each placement just like I go with every other sign, but I don't mean to jump here. Originally, this is the first card. This placement here is suggesting your current situation. This here suggests your past influences, how this is going to be affecting your current situation, and how this is also going to possibly be affecting your third card here, which is basically what refers to what can be manifested from actions taken. So this kind of gives us an idea of what could be influencing your actions here, and what may be your best actions to take with what you've garnered from here to be best applied here, which is your fourth card, handling or changing challenges into stepping stones, making your future more viable to you or easier to obtain. Your fifth card, which is interestingly enough in the back, is your card of sacrifice, which you would need to let go of to get this to be a success to begin with, to make this a thing. I like this spread so far. It's been really good. And I started here though as like what could be manifested from what did I say before? What can be manifested from actions taken? It's really literally the action card. The Emperor is everything to do with action. He just does things. He's like, okay, do, right? But of course, he doesn't just do things. He's a little bit more organized about it, but he's Aries in its fundamental form, He's Aries, he's Mars. This literally is the card for Mars, and Mars as we know it is action. Taking action is possibly what, interestingly enough, is what you do, and taking action in some sort of form that brings possibly, I don't know, I say joy, but I don't know. I feel like this is very serious here. This is bringing an end to a situation, or this is an ending to a situation, desirable or not. And it can feel like the situation leaves you out in the cold because I don't know if some of you are going through a really difficult time with somebody who you very much respect or honor, and you really don't have a plan. You had been thinking about it in a way, prepared for it, but this is in a way some sort of course of action. You're taking it one step at a time, and you're doing the best you can to kind of handle it with as much strength as possible, with much composure. Because I feel like the Emperor could do anything. He could be impulsive. He can be irrational, and I feel like it's not necessarily what's being called here to just do anything, but I do feel like doing what you feel led to do is what's being called here. This is still a divinely chosen leader. The emperors are usually people who are considered closest to God, closely related to God, the next of kin to God, as to why they were given rights over land and governance over people. So in his perspective, in the emperor's perspective, wherever he is led to do is by God's hand. He is working through God, or God is working through him to be his instrument to whatever he was meant to lead his people to. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, God is for you, literally reaching through you to do something you don't really know whether or not you should or shouldn't do. I am suggesting, though, that whatever you feel most aligned with is usually what I take into account when I hear something like that. That is my personally first thing. My first thought is like, okay, so how does this apply in practical forms if I take away the mysticism, I take away all the magic, if I take away all that, what if this is really God speaking and this is just words on a piece of paper given to a child to understand words? What does this mean in its basics, in its critical form? It could just mean that this is you saying, I'm going to do this because I need this for me. I'm going to do this because I don't always have the answers, but I'm going to just do this because I'm confident it's going to get me somewhere. I'm confident I'm going to be all right. I'm going to decide to do this and make a decision, because this is Libra. This is sacrificing, trying to appease everybody, making sure everyone's heard, and being an equal footing for everyone, and making sure everyone's considered in all this. Ironically, Sagittarius had the same placements as well, except this situation was more like Emperor was here and the Queen of Swords was here, which is very weird. You two have the same cards. I don't know if you're dating a Sag, or you know of a Sag, or you're connecting with a Sag, or you want something to do with a Sagittarius. But this situation is very weird and very ironic to theirs, as to that you need to let go of appeasing other people. You need to let go of. I'm not saying you need to stop listening. Actively listening is a powerful thing, and I think these two will take this themselves and say, look, we would rather hear people out versus shut people down, because we want to know what we're shutting down before we you know what I mean. We want to know what we're shutting down before we shut it down, because it could be something worthwhile. It could be something very valuable, something we can invest into, put time into. So I feel like maybe this is close to an end of struggle, close to an end of a situation, but this is from maybe some situation that is out of your control. But I just feel like too, at the same time, it's not out of your control out of the way. There is aspects of yourself that you can maintain control of, and you can lean on other people. You can be vulnerable with other people. The person that you have been through the hardest times with, this is the person you be the most vulnerable with. Ironically, the Queen of Swords is in a cold, desolate area, and believe it or not, she is the only person that you need to be worried about, whether or not you're coming through authentically or not. If you come at her with some BS and bullshit, she's going to read straight through that, and she can hear you and listen to you all night, but that don't mean you getting through. Don't mean you getting shelter and protection and safety now. You've betrayed her intelligence, thinking that that's what you're going to do, is just fool her into her home and her lavishings. She's still, in some respects, some readers consider her and the Queen of Cups as suckers of the tarot. They listen and take on too many of that person's weight, willingly take time to listen to them and be empathetic to a point where they sacrifice their own needs for others. This is some perspectives of some readers' view for this, and it's through their respect, right? Libra can be a puss flap as much as Cancer can be a puss flap. In this sense, though, right? There is nothing wrong with recognizing where there is a limit to where you are willing to do and take on and accept, and what you will and will not you will and will not um assume responsibility for, because I feel like too there are things that are just well within your control and you're taking, I feel like, onus of that. I feel like there's just so much here that I feel like we need to unpack with these, because these are heavy. On top of this, like, this is pretty dense, but I'm like, with these two here, I just feel like with the Emperor in your third, how, what can be manifested with your actions, what you need to sacrifice to, how do you, change your challenges to stepping stones. This is like the end is nigh. Like, you have to accept that there is no, you just have to, recognize that the worst is over with the situation, and just, well, focus on the end game, trying to get to the conclusion and make peace with what you've made, with what this is, and try your best to pivot, try to make the most of a new foundation, basically, because you're, or a new, or not necessarily a new foundation, take advantage of a blank slate, because this is over. This, you can't come back from this. This is it. And this sometimes can be, honestly, the sign of a passing. And so sometimes it's out of our control, this this ending, but it can be beautiful, it can be liberating, it can be difficult, it can be a sense of honor, homage, a grace. It can be a loss. It can feel like it's, you're not prepared, but it's something also that you are very, very much well equipped. I feel like there's something about strength, yeah, that's really calling to this, because mother energies are coming up, even though she's very masculine for a feminine energy. I feel like there's someone around you who's also trying to be strong, but she's always been strong, and I think this person has also needs someone to lean on too, because if this emperor is coming up for the Queen of Swords, this Queen of Swords has been hard like this for a while. So let's recenter. I know I've been talking about this for 17 minutes now. Damn, didn't realize. The current situation has to do with what's hard at work, what's already being worked on, what's already in progress, what you already busting your ass to do. You're already busting your ass. You're already doing the best that you can. You're already focused on so many different things and honing your craft and getting things to be a certain way and to maintain it, sustain it, grow it. It's just trying to keep everything afloat and do the best that you can. You're hard work. You're hard at work. And the past influences was always wondering if you've had enough, and always worried if you didn't, about other things that you could not have, contribute to, because you were insufficient. The Five of Pentacles is the preface, is the poverty card. It's the card of not having a lot of resources to work with, and like literally working paycheck to paycheck, or just always kind of being broke. And you get to a point now where you're working so hard, either to fight off this debt or to build back up a sort of empire, that you may have compromised a relationship in doing this. And I don't think this is like a bad thing, in the sense like you have anything to be ashamed of or you should be blaming yourself. This is like, you had things that were important that needed to be taken care of, and this person can understand. It's about being empathetic to this individual and what this person is going through, and noticing they're not necessarily pointing blame, but they are still struggling. They still need to be heard. Their pain is still valid, and you were only doing the best that you could, but they were only doing the best they could too, in watching you, in being the outside looking in, but the supporter and the avid, whoever this was on the outside, that didn't really feel like they were getting what they needed out of it. Because again, like, if you look at this reading, it's earth. It's very earth based. Now, you're an earth energy, and that's great and all that, but I personally would like to see a little more water. I wouldn't want to see swords with this. It's too much mental turmoil. And I see the Queen of Swords, she's gone through a lot. She's been through some difficult things. The Emperor, why do you think he's so stubborn? Because he's been through some shit. He's not trying to do that. He's not trying to go back to that. This is why it's his way or the highway. He's learned it the hard way. and he's learned it because this is tried and true tested methods. He represents tradition. You guys rock traditional steps because you guys, again, there's something about honor. It's something about honor to that, and you guys really taking that very seriously. I was just talking about Sag, just something about taking something very seriously. You guys really do take something and take at least family, your where you come from, who you are, very seriously, and I don't think that should definitely be taken lightly. I do think it just needs to have a moment of humility sometimes so you can get through the hard times. I think there's just no vulnerability here. There's no softness. And the Father card is coming up very strong. That's your energy. Yes, you're being strong for the people around you. But it's just hard to do that when you don't allow yourself a place to rest, a place to kind of get through it all. And I feel like there's somebody around you that can do that. There's a person that can do that. This Libra. There's a Libra here. Some of you guys could be dealing with a Libra. Some of you guys could be dealing with someone who's really good at listening. But you need to allow yourself to surrender possibly to that. Maybe the sacrifice is the Queen of Swords. Coming to her. Let's see why would we need to sacrifice the Queen of... Yeah. Knight of Cups. Sharing your feelings. Offloading your emotions. Or just sharing what those are. Sharing what those ideas are. Escaping and letting those feelings just flow. And I feel like she can transmute those into something else. I think she can to help you turn those feelings into methods of healing. Yeah, the Six of Swords. Yeah, I think something's going on where some of you guys are going through a seriously difficult time. I think some of you guys maybe are losing some really important people in your lives. I don't know if it's a parent. I don't know if it's a father. I don't know if it's a grandparent. I don't know who it is. But the Six of Swords and the Ten of Swords, that's somebody that, and then the Emperor like that. You're just being somebody very, very strong for a lot of people. You're showing up as a rock. You're holding up boundaries. You're staying strong even in moments when you are most vulnerable and you're feeling the most fragile and the most weak. The Emperor is a man, is an old man, and is really strong warrior, and heavy metal like equipment, but in a cement throne. His body is beat down, tired, and busted up in between, and you know it's a weak motherfucker. But he is holding a small, scowl of a motherfucker. He will intimidate the shit out of you. You don't know what this man's capable of. He could possibly pull out strength you never expected underneath those hard and heavy armor in frail bones. Like, you don't think about how this man's evil little look is really signaling to you, don't play with me. I'm not to play with. I've got too much to lose. I'm not having none of that. I am a fierce protector and an avid, representative of the people that I love. Very, very strong positioning. So you guys are going through it, man. You guys are going through it. It's not an easy time. I just don't be too hard on yourself. I feel like there was a period of doubt. You were overthinking the situation. Maybe you weren't easy on yourself. You were always trying to figure out what best to do. You didn't always know the answers, but you wisen up through your series of things. You wisen up. The Seven of Pentacles comes up again. It's so weird. I just think that that's so weird because you have the review card already signaling that you had lots of self-doubt in your capabilities. I think you have a dream or a talent, something that you're really good at, something that you love, that you may have poo-pooed it off as just some pipe dream that is just fairy tales and rainbows. But it's truly something you've actually worked hard at cultivating, and you've got lots of material and actual real stuff working up behind it. You got too much dense earth energy to suggest to me that this isn't something that you've been gardening for a while. This is like a farm furnished with a ton of like ripe plants that may have just been neglected because it was just seen as not just a dream. It's just It's very rose tinted glasses, very hopeful, but lucrative, possible, oversaturated, and making it starving artists out here. Yeah, no, probably not. But there's somebody here that's like, nah, nah, nah. Maybe there could be something we could do. Maybe hearing that person out and listening to them and letting that person actually feed your soul a little bit and dream a bit while you're going through such a time that is out of your control. And it's something where you're mourning, man. That's mourning. It's getting away from what no longer exists. The Ten of Swords is a symbolization of death of some sort in your life. It could be a death of a situation, a death of a cycle, a death of the mindset, death of a job. Saying sayonara to a career or a job, because all this Earth energy could be work. Honestly, you could be a boss at a job and you're like, you know what? It's time for me to retire. You're old, you're tired. I'm saying, I'm just kidding. You're not old and tired, but you're tired of dealing with the people that are coming up there arguing with you, questioning your authority. You've got other things that you want to pursue, that you feel like call it more to your sense of leadership and sense of authority. I feel like too, Capricorn. Wow, very deep message. We're gonna go ahead and pull your other oracle to see what's going on. Everybody's getting really goddamn deep messages, very deep messages with this I Ching oracle deck. And Cappies, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how you always have the most deepest reads, but okay, bros, let's just see what's going on. Let's see what else we can do about this. Okay, all right, plenty. All right, let's see. That's what this is. So we're going to count the lines. This is what I meant by counting the lines. I got to count these up, see which ones do not match. And then those are the secret messages that we hide within this reading. And then we tie in the outcomes, which is what this card is. And what these two cards are, to kind of get an idea of like what this could, how you can kind of apply this for you guys. Okay. All right. So number 1 is different, 2 is different, 3 is different, 4 is the same, 5 is the same, 6 is different, 1 is different, 2 is different, 3 is different. So 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 6. All right. You need to leave the confusion quickly behind you and produce tangible results. However, you still lack sufficient perspective, and if you avoid acting rationally, your chances increase a little more as each day passes. In the knowledge that every ending harbors a new beginning, we bring the book of changes to a conclusion. Our thoughts turn back to the first sign, the creative. Wow. Number 2. The time for action has not yet arrived. You must prepare patiently for the transition. Don't lose sight of your goal, even if everything takes a long time. If you don't lose heart, you will be successful. Ooh, that goes back to what I was just talking about in regards to not, don't be impulsive. Even though this is like this energy of go, 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 gusto. He's still kind of orderly and he's got a structure around it and things like that. Don't go rushing in. Even though you are led to take some sort of action, your actions are actually extensively impactful right now, and the way you react, even with how much you are feeling, could be detrimental into how it's affected and bleeding into others. If something happens to the emperor, like I said before, if anything happens to the emperor, it affects the whole empire. Children all the way up to the armies are in trouble if something happens with him, and that doesn't necessarily just mean he dies. It means if his character is compromised, if he's found to be, if there's something flawed in his character, it means it's detrimental to him as his reputation as an emperor and to the empire in its whole as far as their protections and whether or not they're respected with neighboring empires or lands, and enemies, So you got to think about that in that sense. This is why I guess self-control is insanely important here. The emperor is control, but out of the most control that he has, aside from all the power in the world he has, it's control over himself. Again, he is a frail old man underneath a heavy amount of armor. If you think about that, that's self-control and sitting on a cement throne. That's a lot of self-control to sit there under that amount of agony and pain and weight and discomfort and rheumatism to show defiance and representation and fierceness for your family. There's something about maintaining self-control, and it's interesting that they talked about that again. Line 3, you are still not strong enough to swing the boat around. You will become shipwrecked if you try to force things. Begin all over again. Build up systematically, and you will ultimately succeed. Build up systematically. This is what literally all this earth energy is said. You've been working very hard in building up stepping stones. You have been doing something for way too long to have built up too much material in substance, some sort of substance, to not have it work for you. It's too much work. You've been also very focused on it. You've been putting a lot of time and energy into it. Lots of hard work has been put into it. This is the current situation. So you're damn right about the fucking thing about building up systematically. And you will ultimately succeed. You know that, which is why you've been doing it, and you've been maintaining that sense of control to do that. And I feel like the letting off the valve, because there's so much pressure of you doing all of this should be going off to someone who can hear you. I don't know if that means paying for a therapist and making sure that there's someone here that can really consider you and hear you and let you whine and wane and be nonsensical. You still have that young child energy that still that has feelings and emotions, and they need to get out. And sure, it may be better to have them bottled up and kept to yourself, so you don't have to worry about the opinions of another person. But this is why you go to somebody like the Queen of Swords. She's unbiased. She doesn't have an opinion. She doesn't judge you. She could care less about your character in a whole. She cares about how you feel in that moment, because it's not about you. The situation that you're in is not you. You are going through it, and she knows that you are the vehicle in which this change is taken, and you're going through that as a mechanism of nature. And she wants to be that supportive network. That's how you know that you're around that person for you that you can offer and share your deepest feelings and your concerns with and your emotional state with, because she's not going to judge you. She's not going to care about how that makes you as a person, as a man, as a woman, as your overall representation of anything. Because you've been working hard for whatever you've been doing, trying very hard to represent and show up for and have pride behind and protect avidly and maintain so much focus and willpower towards making it a thing. So, holy shit, bro. And then, 6. Once the confusion has passed, we are delighted by harmonious cooperation and the feeling of mutual trust, but you should remain alert. The pendulum could easily swing back the other way. So again, I do feel like when I say that this person is non-judgmental, I do think that there is sometimes some people who just don't understand what our missions are, what our directions are, and we may have had to leave a situation because it's just not really providing us with the conducive environment to continue to actually reap a harvest, because it just keeps seeming like you're planting seeds and nothing is growing anywhere. It's taking so long for things to grow, but you have to continue to stay patient, strong, and under self-control at that, and try not to force things and overexalt things. But you're also feeling like there is maybe some this misunderstanding, maybe some communication that could be strengthened at this time by showing up more vulnerable, I feel like, and less forceful, because I feel you've been doing so much. The force has already been utilized, and I think it's becoming such a utilized thing that now it's just kind of like your new natural way of letting off pressure, but I think a new way needs to be done so you can truly get some healing, get some replenishment, and it's done through something emotional and something potentially communicational, because the Queen of Swords there. Wow. Okay. This Libra. This Libra is all about the back and forth. Letting she's always in someone else's shoes, and I feel like you surrender or you sacrifice is really surrendering to the Queen by being the King of Cups, offering her your feelings, your most vulnerable, which is interesting. Just being a sweetheart, and being the sweetheart that has the reasons why you're a sweetheart, and it's to do with how you've been impacted by the people you love, and how you've been humbled, the pain you've been through, and that reminded you to be that grateful, to be that gratitude, to be that person that walks in that faith. So 55, plenty. In terms of I Ching, plenty signifies that inner clarity and worldly success are united in so far as the whole wealth of life can be experienced. This constitutes a true peak of existence of human beings. Once it begins, a beginning in the senses of a cosmic cycle of life, the descent renews. Let me just read that whole sentence over. Once it begins, a beginning in the sense of a cosmic cycle of life, the descent renews towards the planes of everyday life. This is an entirely natural phenomenon, and you should not, therefore, mourn the transitoriness of fortune and success. Gather your strength in order to meet the future challenges and before the wheel of fortune takes you to the top again. The work you do now is an investment in the future. Enjoy plenty for so long as it lasts. Wow. I mean, so basically it's just saying to me, like, there's always going to be enough. Don't worry about the not having enough. That Five of Pentacles, like I said, you're coming from maybe the mindset of you've been hustling for a hot minute. You've been hustling. You've been living paycheck to paycheck. You've always been, just living by your means, living with what you could afford. And now you can live with lavishness, or you're soon to break through, I think. But you break through when you've allowed yourself a space to be more equilibrial and available to the changes and the comings of the new era of your life. And I think this transition is the worst will be over. You'll be able to move on to greater pastures and better pastures. It just requires you to maintain fortitude, stay, keep a balance for yourself, stay healthy and stuff like that. The changes that are in your control and out of your control, it just needs to be handled with as much grace and gentleness as you can best apply it. It's maybe the father, but remember, fathers are still parents, and they still help out with babies, and they, they're still gotta be gentle. They still learn. They are still gentle with babies. So you gotta think, a father is no different than a mother as far as how they take care of a child. And honestly, at this point, this is something similar. You would need to take care of yourself almost like a child right now, in the mindset and the strategies of a father, especially as you can recollect from your own representation of father figures. So very interesting reading. And I do think that you guys are going towards some really good stuff because of what all this hard work is putting out for you. You got too much shit behind you, like too much work, too much effort, too much all of that in this situation to not get anything good out of it. So Capricorns, golly. All right, I love you guys. Okay, stay healthy, please be careful, and as always, family, I'll see you on the other side. Bye now.